and they saw me in line, and they were like, "You can't be here," so they took me out, and they said, "You can watch it from the back of the thing." So I got to watch the movie right next to Wes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you doing today? It's an absolute.
How are you?
Good. This is an honor. I say that unironically. This is truly incredible to be here with you. I still have my original Scream tickets, the first Scream, second and third.
Awesome.
Wow.
I will never forget sneaking into the first Scream. I was 12 years old. My friend's dad bought a ticket for my friend and I and himself, and then left so we could get through the theater. I was wondering, for each of you, was there an R-rated movie you remember sneaking in as a kid that was like that big of a deal for you? Scream was that first one for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw The Changeling with George C. Scott, but I don't know if that was R-rated, but it certainly felt like too sophisticated for me to be watching it at 11 years old.
I used to go to this movie theater that had 3 movie theaters in it, which wasn't common back in the day. But I'd buy one ticket to the one I could get into, and then I'd wait and I'd watch all of them. So I watched The French Lieutenant's Woman one time with Meryl Streep. I was far too young. But
that's awesome. Neve, yeah.
That was like literally my babysitting.
Wow.
Neve, I wanted to ask you this since I was growing up, and I was 12 or 13 when I first saw these movies. I've always been a fan of filmmaking, and obviously Wes Craven and Beltrami's score for those films were unbelievable. I wanted to ask you, when you do the phone calls with Ghostface, I know Roger L. Jackson, one of the greatest voice actors of all time. Are you actually doing those scenes with Roger? Has that changed over the years at all from 1 to 5? How do those scenes actually operate?
No, we still get to do those scenes with Roger. I can't remember if there's ever been some that aren't with Roger, but I don't think so. I feel like he's more often than not, it's his voice that we're listening to. And Wes was really diligent about making sure that Roger never met us.
Yeah, he'd be like in a building somewhere else where he could see us, but then we couldn't see him.
Yeah,
that's absolutely amazing. Obviously, I won't go into any spoilers, but for Wes, I mean, it just kind of sent shivers up I was just it made me so happy because this is my favorite Scream since the original. I think it honors the beautiful legacy of the original, but also brings a new and brutal tone to this new idea of the franchise. I want to ask you, do each of you have a favorite memory of Wes Craven on the original sets? Like, what's the one that comes to mind when, like, anything? I'm sure you've shared stories before, but what's the first one that comes to mind?
The first one for me that comes to mind is my audition, to be honest, and the screen test and walking out, and they had the couch set up and they had the lights. They basically built a set for it because there was a few of us that were auditioning for Sydney, and just his gentle giant energy. He was this sort of tall. He was like he walked like a gazelle, and he had this gentle, quiet voice, and he had this little giggle. And it's not what you expected of the man who makes the movies that he does.
Yeah,
he was and a great sense of humor, honestly. Yeah. And he made me really comfortable. And really settled me in what normally is a very anxiety-ridden situation.
Yeah,
that's my initial reaction.
David, for you?
Well, I used to work at this newsstand on Melrose, and they would hand out these flyers for like pre-screenings, so you could go and like fill them out. And I got it right after we shot the movie, and it said it was a description of Scream. So I went to the pre-screening, and they saw me in line, and they were like, "You can't be here," so they took me out, and they said, "You can watch it from the back of the thing." So I got to watch the movie right next to Wes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a crazy story.
Absolutely amazing.
But I was like watching the movie, but I was really watching kind of Wes.
Wow.
And he goes, there was like a scare comes up and the audience goes like, ah, and then they start laughing and he's sitting there. It was so funny to see him watch. That was like one of my favorite Wes moments.
Since I was a kid, that scene in the kitchen with Stu and Billy is one of the greatest scenes of all time. What is your memory of that scene and that reveal, and kind of like what you emotionally remember about filming that moment? Because to me, it's one of the greatest scenes in cinema history.
That scene took us about 3 weeks to shoot because it's a long sequence if you think about it, right? Yeah. Wes came up to me because for me with Sydney, it's about sort of like, she's scared and especially in the first films, there's a lot of fear, you know, throughout. And it's like, what level of fear to keep it interesting. So it's not just like this monotone. And Wes came up to me and whispered in my ear, he said, just imagine 1,000 bullets ricocheting through your body. And then he gazelle walked out the kitchen. Yeah. And
Wow.
that set that scene for me.
Well, that's
And,
amazing.
I mean,
Thank
Matt
you.
and Skeet were incredible. So.
Yeah, amazing scene. Thank you so much for your time, Neve. This was an actual honor, and I think you should be very proud of this work. I know Wes would be proud of this movie. It's an absolute incredible experience, and both of you were so great in it. And to sit here and talk to you after seeing it when I was 12, it just means everything to me. So thank you so much for a lifetime of cinema. I appreciate you both.
Oh, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
See, I literally still have my original Scream tickets from when I was a kid. I mean, I have all three of the first three. I don't know if you can see them, but yeah. But
we can see them.
that movie changed my life. And I was 12 and I saw it. My best friend's dad bought us tickets and then left so we could get through the usher. But it was an incredible experience. Now, this is the closest I've ever felt to that feeling again. This movie is a masterpiece, and it really honors the beautiful legacy of what Wes Craven really created at that point. I wanted to ask each of you, one of my favorite scenes is early on, Jack, between you and Melissa, where you guys are talking about movies you've never seen before. And Jack, you've never seen Stab, and you're like, I've never seen Gone with the Wind. For each of you, what is the one movie that you have not seen as a classic that would make someone go, wait a second, how have you not seen that?
Ooh.
I have never seen Citizen Kane.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Interesting one.
sorry, I shouldn't react like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we can't react like you've
that's
never, because then
not
she
fair.
never will.
Yeah.
How have you never? Yeah, we're in a safe space here. No one's judging. Jack,
Oh, sorry, Jenna, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I was just gonna say that there's so many classics that I haven't seen, but I think like a more recent one that's not an older film, I've never seen Back to the Future.
Oh, sorry. No,
Right.
guys, calm down.
I can't restrain myself.
You'll never watch it now.
That one-
Just Jenna,
I know.
I acknowledge that. Okay.
We respect it, Jenna. We respect it.
Respect it. This isn't a movie, so I don't know if it counts, but I've never seen Game of Thrones, and it's specifically because I have this one friend, and I'm gonna call him out. Marty, you pitched it to me too much. It felt like work at a certain point, and one day I'll watch it. I maybe, but yeah, that's the thing. That's why we can't react like that. You gotta
Can't
be
react.
like, okay.
We're in a safe
It's
space.
good.
Here.
Watch it. Yeah.
Jenna, I'm going to be very vague about this. There's a scene where you're on the phone with the killer, which I won't say where it is. It's in the trailer. So I wanted to ask you about working with Roger L. Jackson, who I think is one of the greatest voices of all time. And like, where is he during that moment? Or is he in another room talking to you live? Can you talk about how that process is done?
Yeah, so for the scene that everyone sees in the trailer, that actually was, we did get Roger on the phone. So I was speaking with Roger in between takes. Sometimes he would break character, or he would say really ominous, creepy things, I think, to kind of get me in the mood or keep me in the scene, which I appreciated. So he did that a couple times, or he would break out into the voice of the mayor from the Powerpuff Girls and like just try on all these different voices and see what I thought, which was a pretty surreal experience. Also, that was the first thing I had shot on the film. So you know, to be such a fan of the Scream franchise, I think, you know, you go and you fly out to do these different jobs for work, but to hear his voice and to see the dialogue and see what we were shooting that day, I think that's when things really set in for me that, oh, this is a Scream movie and this is a really big deal. And oh, wow, suddenly there's pressure. But it's incredible.
You crushed that scene. It was incredible. Jack, since the new Boys trailer came out yesterday, I was wondering if you could see the Boys dropped into a Scream film. How would they handle Ghostface, and who do you think would be the killer out of the Boys?
Oh God. So like within the Boys cast, there's a Ghostface, basically, is what we're saying?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh God, I don't know who would be. I mean, I guess Homelander would have to be Ghostface. I mean, he's the most psychotic, but I don't know.
That would be obvious.
That'd be obvious. Let's go with I don't know. I could see, if we're talking like someone with no powers, I'd say probably Butcher. He could probably, you know, I don't know, don the mask. He would kill someone that deserves it. He wouldn't just go, you know, completely psycho. But yeah, I can see Butcher. They both wear long, black, flowing things. So, yeah.
Melissa, last thing for you, in terms of like scripts, I've heard stories that you'll get different endings and different things, and like it's so famous what Wes Craven used to be able to do, and obviously what the filmmakers have done here. What was your experience with the scripts? Like, what did you get initially? What were the pieces of the scripts that you received? Did you get everything? Did you know everything?
I got the first script that I got had a different ending. Different people died, different Ghostface. So, but I didn't know that it wasn't the final script. I just assumed, oh, this is what it is. So showing up and finding out that that's not the ending, and then us all being in a table read, our first table read in Wilmington, and they gave us incomplete script. So we only read the first 2 acts, and then we were all left there sitting like, who's actually going to be Ghostface?
Wow.
It was a thrilling game. Like it made us all be kind of like meta, you know, like we're acting in a movie where we had to figure out who Ghostface is, and we also don't know who Ghostface is. So it was fun.
5, 6, 7. Schluggity, bluggity, 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 schluggity, bluggity, 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 schluggity, bluggity, schluggity, schluggity, bluggity, bluggity, bloop, bloop.
Scream.
This is, I mean, why wasn't that in the movie?
Actually, it is on the radio during one of the scenes.
Yeah.
They play that
They put a
song.
lot of little,
It's crazy.
Yeah.
We're all about
That's
the fans.
amazing.
in case you
creating
couldn't tell, it's
experiences.
called schluggity, bluggity, bloop.
Spelled.
How do you spell that?
We actually use the Arabic alphabet. too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it would be hard to tell you right now, but we can send you the file with the name in it.
That would be amazing. No, I want to say congratulations to both of you. As a person, I mean, I still have my Scream tickets from literally from '97.
Oh
I saw all-
wow!
That makes me emotional.
yeah.
True fan.
Honestly, like I'll never forget seeing the first one for the first time. This was the closest I've ever felt to that feeling again,
That's
watching this
great.
movie.
That's great. You don't look a day older than me, but yes, I
No.
still. That's incredible.
Now I'm 37, but one of my favorite scenes in this whole movie, though, is this moment where it's Melissa and Jack. They're in the car together, and like Jack's like, "I've never seen Stabbed. I've never seen Gone with the Wind." And I was wondering for each of you, what is that one classic film that you've never seen that would make someone go, "Wait a second, how have you never seen that?"
Okay, we're gonna play a quick game. Name 10 classic films,
Oh,
and I'll
no.
tell you if I've seen them or not.
The answer is she wouldn't have seen.
I haven't seen so many classic films, and I'm working on that. First, it had to do with, upbringing, couldn't watch things. Then it had to do with Enneagram. I'm a 4-wing 3. I'm addicted to work. I'm not good at self-care, but this year's the year of self-care, and I'm watching more films.
Awesome,
Therapy session? Yes, I therapized myself.
Mason. For you, what's the one you've never seen?
The one I've never seen. You'd be pretty hard pressed to find one. One
Have you
I've
seen
been
Snow Dogs?
meaning to watch.
I
is-
love Snow Dogs.
Guys,
A
listen.
classic film. Woo! Snow Dog Club. Snow Dog Club.
Yes.
We are in the Snow Dog Club.
I can't deny the artistic integrity.
And one of our
present in
cast
that
members,
movie.
Dylan Minnette, is in Snow Dog 4.
He's in the sequel. That's
He's in the
right. that's-
sequel. Dylan Minnette is in Snow.
He plays both the dogs
Plug.
and himself.
He plays all the dogs, right? All
and
of them.
himself. That's a
Through motion
acting
capture.
in,
Yeah.
in and of its feet. In and of its feet. Yeah, a movie I haven't seen is
You've seen every movie.
I've seen Silence, Martin Scorsese. I've been meaning to watch that.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a
I hope so.
it's a slow burn. Like my favorite Scorsese is weirdly Hugo, but I mean I love all of his movies. So
Hugo's great. No, Hugo's
you-
incredible.
oh,
Silence
dude,
is
Robert Richardson cinematography.
Oh.
Jasmin, my question to you is this. So in a weird coincidence, I started Yellowjackets on the day before I watched this movie. So I'm like on a
wow.
Jasmin like binge right now watching your work.
You and me
I wanted to
both.
ask you if the team from Yellowjackets were dropped in a Scream movie, who do you think, like, how would they survive, and who do you think the killer would end up being?
Oh,
Definitely.
well, you would think the killer would be Misty.
Yes.
But I think it actually wouldn't be. I think maybe Misty would manipulate someone else to be the killer so she could save everyone, you
Yeah.
know?
Wow.
So the killer would be, oh my God. I don't know. We're
Ty,
thinking maybe it would be
yeah.
like, you think it would be Ty? I don't think it'd be Ty. I think
No,
it could
I
be someone
don't.
no one's expecting, like Mari, like no one
Yeah.
would see that coming because she's more easily manipulated, more easily swayed.
Mm,
Yeah, but Misty would be the last one standing. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
she'd
That
find a way to-
psychopath.
she'd be the Mrs. Loomis in this context. She would definitely like surprise and be like, oh, guess what?
Yeah, fully.
Oh, man.
Samantha Hannity is amazing. She plays young Misty. She
Unbelievable.
So good.
Well, I want to say thank you for your time. They're already wrapping me up. This has just been a pleasure just to talk with you guys
So
and
nice
geek
to
out.
talk
Snow Dogs Club forever.
Dogs
I'm
for
with you
life.
on that.
Dogs Club, yeah.
It's a pleasure
Great.
talking to both of you guys. You guys be safe and thank you. You
Good.
should be very proud of the work you did here. Amazing
Thank
work.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's an honor to talk to both of you. I literally still have my Scream tickets from when I was 12 and 13 and 15 from the first couple films.
No way.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, when I was 12, I walked out of that theater for the first time. My friends and I snuck in, obviously. His dad actually bought us the tickets and then left so we could get
Amazing.
past the ushers. But I'll never forget that feeling I had when I left that theater for the first time. And this is the closest I've ever been to that feeling again, in terms of like, this is just a masterful look and a beautiful way to honor the legacy of this franchise. I wanted to ask you each, there's this great scene in the film where I think it's Jack and Melissa are talking about these movies that he hasn't seen. He's like, I haven't seen Stab, I haven't seen Gone with the Wind. So I wanted to ask you each, what's that classic film you've never seen that someone would go, wait a second, how have you not seen that?
The Godfather.
Oh, wow.
You
Right?
haven't seen
No,
the
exactly.
God?
You haven't seen- Dylan, what's
Shawshank
wrong with you?
Redemption. 2001: A
You've never
Space
seen-
Odyssey. Like I've got a whole list that I'm like, but There Will Be Blood. I've been dying to watch There Will Be Blood. I know, but it's fun because I'm like, now I'm sort of like, I'm waiting for the right time. I kind of like savoring it now. I'm like, I know I'm gonna watch them and I'm gonna love them. But
I'm
anyway.
jealous that you haven't seen those. I would love to watch every one of those. I mean, it's crazy because There Will Be Blood, Johnny Greenwood does the score for those, the guy from
Yes.
Radiohead, who's
Yes, of
brilliant.
course.
But yeah, Marley, for you, do you have a movie, a classic you've never seen that you'd be like, people would be like, what?
I have seen every single movie. No,
Every-
every single one. No, you know what? Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh, now
What?
that's a hell of a
I
film.
haven't seen it either.
Always
Uh,
wanted to see Lawrence of Arabia. I feel like that's a giant hole missing in my film
What is it for you?
library.
I weirdly enough, I've never seen The Godfather 3, but I've seen Godfather 1 and 2. I just don't want to watch 3 because I heard it's not good. So I'm
See,
just like-
I've seen the third one, but not the first one. No, I'm
You've
just kidding. I haven't
seen-
seen it. So I'm just lying. I'm lying.
He's the guy that
Dylan-
goes to the end of
Yeah,
the book first.
Exactly.
Dylan, for you, I love that you're a musician in Wallows, obviously, and I think it's really cool because I always wonder this as an actor. When you play a character, because you're a musician, do you think about the music that character would listen to and this idea? I mean, I love that your character's name is Wes. It feels like a Wes Craven homage, but do you know what Wes's musical taste would be because you're a musician?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like it might
You
be.
didn't do that in your preparation for the kid.
Yeah, right. I feel like no, I don't know. Actually, I feel like Wes would kind of just have a similar music taste to myself,
Hmm.
maybe,
Yeah.
because I don't necessarily feel that disconnected from Wes in a lot of ways. So I think I just sort of pair Wes with myself a little bit, kind of.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
And
Now
Marley,
I'm thinking about Judy. I'm like, what would Judy listen to? And the first thing that came to mind is Dixie Chicks.
I literally was gonna say the Chicks.
No
literally
way!
was just in my head. I was thinking that. That is so
See,
weird.
mother son
That's
right
funny.
there.
That is
That's
hilarious.
funny. Last thing I'll ask you both is this. I've always wondered this, and I've always heard stories about this, about different scripts and how they'll give you sections of them so you don't know who the killer is. Did they operate that on this set too? Did you only get your sections? Did you guys genuinely not know what was going on outside of your own scenes?
No, it's a little different. They had different endings. We all had a script with a different ending. So the ultimate killers were different depending on which version you got.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it was just the same outcome, but just different character names on whoever the killer is. It was a different name.
And we were all
So-
convinced that we had the real script.
Oh, wow. That's
And then
so
I think it took me a second to realize, I was like, wait, what? I think I didn't know at a certain point. I was mistrusting everyone if I had the right ending or not.
It was funny.
Yeah.
The producers gave me the script and then they, I don't know if they were playing a trick, just trying to head trip me even more, but then they were like, oh, wait a second. An hour later, they're like, did you get version da 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 da? Because, and they're like, oh, thank God. Because we thought we gave you version and to this day, I don't know if that was all a ruse or they
Wow.
really gave me the wrong version.
it's an honor to talk to both of you. I still actually have my original Scream tickets from '97.
Stop.
And
What?
never forget walking out of that film. I was 12 years old and I had never seen anything like that before. And
Wow.
this is the closest I've felt to that feeling now was seeing this movie. And this is an absolute
Wow.
masterpiece that I think Wes Craven would be so proud of. I wanted to ask you both. There's this great scene early on in the film where Melissa and Jack are riding in the car together, and they're talking about how Jack hasn't seen Stab, and he's like, I haven't seen Gone with the Wind. What's that one classic film that you haven't seen that people would go, wait a second, how have you not seen that?
Ooh, interesting.
I mean, I'm sure there's something that I haven't seen, but I feel like I've gone through a lot of the classics. It wasn't only just a few years ago I saw The Godfather for the first time, which was really shocking because how haven't I seen that?
Yeah.
What about you?
Sonia, for you?
I can't think of, I love film and I watch so many films. I'm trying to think what. Oh, this one might be embarrassing, but I've never watched The Last Samurai.
Oh, great
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Really good
so
movie.
That's a pretty big one, right?
Highly recommend that. Mikey, one of my favorite theatrical experiences I ever had in my life was seeing Hollywood on 70 millimeter at the ArcLight at Cinerama. Because growing up, Quentin was my favorite filmmaker, still is my favorite filmmaker of all time. And that's my favorite movie he's ever done now. As this is somebody who grew up with Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. I think it's his masterpiece. So I've never talked to you before. I've always wanted to ask you about that final scene with DiCaprio and that fire and the torching. And I wanted to know like what your memory of that scene was, how it was shot, because it's one of my favorite moments probably in cinematic history, and you're a part of it. It's amazing.
Well, I love that you saw the movie like that on
Oh.
film, how it's meant to be. And he's my favorite filmmaker too, even before I was cast in the movie. Yeah, filming, you mean the scene being set on fire in the movie?
Yeah, that scene is insane.
Well, I remember we did it a bunch of times, and there are different angles I had to get. It was a strange experience to like watch a stunt double dressed as me be set on fire, like behind the monitor. Extremely bizarre experience. Just to see anyone set on fire in general. Yeah, I mean that scene was really, really fun, but yeah, one of the things that happened was having to like jump in the water multiple times.
Yeah.
You have to, when you get out of the water, they have to dry you off and dry your hair and change your clothes. So yeah, I don't know. That was also my last day. So it was really memorable too.